on efficiency and all these kinds of things, but we do want to pivot now to a segment on the show we call Start, Sub, or Sit. For those potentially listening for the first time, we're going to give you three different options around a topic, ask you to start one, sub one, and then keep one sitting on the bench. And then we'll have some fun discussing from there. So, Coach, if you're set, we'll dive in.
Okay, sounds great.
Okay. Coach, we talked a lot about efficiency and offense and all that. We're going to kind of stay similar here on this first question. You've also had years where you've been really great with ATOs. Coming out of a timeout, your ATO packages or your sets or things that you're doing after a stoppage in play. And so we just kind of term this sneaky ATO considerations. So these are three different things as a coach, as a play caller, you may be considering when you call this ATO to try to attack the defense coming out of that timeout. So, option one is the foul situation of the opponent, either a player or team. So, maybe they're in the bonus. So, does that play into what you might call, or there's a player that has, three, four fouls, whatever it is. So, just the overall foul situation, player or team, is option one for your consideration, what you might run. Option two is just attacking weak links. You know who they have in. You're going to try in some way, no matter what, to go at that player. Or option three is what Pat and I were talking about is just using their own good defense against them.
Mm.
So they tag a certain way, they plug a certain way, they double on post catches, whatever it is that they do well, you're going to design a set coming out of that against that to take advantage of that. So start, sub, sit. Foul situation, attacking weak links, or using good defense against them.
Yeah, that's a great one. I think that I will start um, using their concepts, hopefully against them. I think I will sub the foul situations, the bonus, things of that nature, and I will sit uh, the weak links. I think it's actually, to be totally honest, I think it's a area of coaching I need to be better at. I think there's so many coaches that I really look at and respect that are so good at just saying, "Hey, we're going to find the weak link and we're just going to go after that." And it's probably just not my natural approach to trying to handle that.
Coach, great answer. Um, let's go to your start in
Mhm.
attacking their good concepts. I guess the balance for you as a coach offensively of attacking someone's good concepts versus trying to not let them get to those concepts. So let's take just for example, they hedge a pick and roll really well. Well,
Yeah.
we're going to call something that takes advantage of that hedge by getting two on the ball. We're going to move it out of it. We're going to take advantage. Versus we're going to set a ram screen or some kind of screen so they can't get to the hedge and we attack that way. I guess how do you think about that gray line, that gray
Yeah,
area?
I think it's a great question. I think that we're going to be prepared for both of those. I literally, as you were saying, I'm thinking, oh, that's this play call and that's this play call. So, I think both of those are important. I think you're going in the moment, what you feel like you're doing well that day, maybe who's playing well for you. I try to think more about my team than I think about the other team, which is probably even when I think about the start sub sit, why I was doing what I was doing. Instead of thinking about spending so much time, let's try to find their weak spot and go at it. I'm going to try to take us and play to what we do and what we practice. And so as we think about, let's say in that situation, they're going to hard hedge the ball screen. Maybe we're going to get it in an isolated ball screen, three on the fence on the other side, and we're going to play out of that because we practiced that. We know exactly what we're looking for and what we're trying to do versus like, hey, let's try to move this thing around, get to a favorable matchup, and maybe we start doing things that we haven't practiced as much. And so for me, I think a huge part of it is the comfortability that our players hopefully are going to have coming out of these ATO situations. The number of times, and again, I'm probably exposing myself. You might have to cancel this episode before we play it. But I just am not a big believer in going out and chalking something up, drawing something up. Let me show you how smart I am on a board. Like I want our guys to be confident. And so the number of times at, let's say, the University of Charleston in 11 years, and we win about 70% of our games are close. And the number of times that I drew something up that we had never practiced, I'm going to say the over under on that's about 2.5 in 11 years, not per year total. Like most of the time when we come out of something, I can just literally say, hey, we're going to run, Denver or whatever it is that we're going to run, and where we might spend time just reminding them exactly what it is we're looking for. Or, hey, the two ways they've guarded the ball screens in this situation is the hard hedge and the drop coverage. So if they're in the hard hedge, this is what we're looking. It's the reminders of what we're doing versus saying, hey, let me draw this up and hope to God that the timing works out right and that you can see all this stuff at the same time. And so I think for us, it's about creating something where they're comfortable and they know what it is we practiced and what we're looking for, and hopefully they go out and they're able to execute with confidence.
For sure.
Coach, the question we presented you obviously had a lot of like what the opponent is doing. And,
Mm-hmm.
you talked about kind of what you guys have repped in practice, but what other considerations, I guess, are you thinking about, whether it's your team or what goes into being an effective ATO, an effective scoring ATO, which you guys were, like we mentioned in the past, really good at?
Yeah. I think that again, for me, it's probably not maybe what you're looking for in that is just so much of us knowing what we're doing. I do think that the concepts that we try to talk about are super important to us. And so let's just say we have five concepts that we really try to play to in different scenarios. We will run things. Let's say I use Denver again. Anybody that's ever played against us probably could chalk Denver up for you. We run it a lot. But we're going to run Denver. And because of how you played something, the ball screen in the middle third at the end, we can say, hey, we're going to throw this different concept. And so, like, I think if you were scouting us, you could be easily pulled into saying, okay, they just ran Denver. Here's Denver. Oh, well, this time they ran Denver and it had a different ending to it. Well, that's just because we changed a concept or added a concept at the end of it coming out of the ATO. When we get to this spot, this is our alignment. Okay, now we're going to get to Laker concept. We're going to get to Wyoming concept. We're going to get to Flash concepts, whatever it is that we're going to do. It might not normally be part of Denver, but we'll throw that wrinkle on maybe coming out of a timeout.
Mm-hmm.
For sure.
And Coach, at the very top, you mentioned how you're constantly thinking about efficiency, maximizing time. When we go back to the practice setting, I
Mhm.
guess how much time are you dedicating to special situations, ATOs, baseline, sideline, and how you think about, yeah, how much time you'll dedicate to that versus, well, 80% of the game is going to be this, our flow, and this is what we're going to work on, I guess. What are your
Yeah.
considerations when you think about practice design?
Yeah, I'm not very good at, to be honest, of spending a bunch of time. Like it would be easy to say, well, if they're doing that successfully, they must be spending an inordinate amount of time on it. It must be a high priority. And we want to execute well in those situations, but we don't have 74 OBUs. We don't, there's been a lot of years, to be totally honest with you. We have one slob. Yeah, that's it. We got one sideline out of bounds play. That's it. Now we have one other one or two other ones that we're going to use in a late game situation, and we're down two with 5 seconds to go. We're going to run fist, whatever it is. And once we've used it in a game, we'll throw it out and we have the other one we've been practicing. And then we'll start thinking about something else to add in the place of fist. And we won't use it again the rest of that year or maybe ever. Who knows? But we don't have 17 game winners with 10 seconds to go or whatever it is. So, again, for us, what we're going to try to do, I think about an important part of the game to me is practicing what we're going to do the most, what situations come out the most. And so, maybe a little bit off your question, but let me give you the best example I can think of to explain that. How many times I've heard people talk about, well, what are we going to run if we have the ball side out in the deep corner almost down on the baseline, or we're on the baseline and we're all the way out there by the sideline? Those are tough, tough spots to get the ball in. And so we might not be nearly as prepared as what we should be for that. And somebody could say, well, man, you guys lost by one because you didn't have a great play there. I actually will talk to our team about, and our staff is going to talk about, we actually didn't lose the game because we didn't have that with 10 seconds. It's because we didn't rebound. We turned it over too much. We didn't play off two. We didn't finish layups for 39 minutes and 50 seconds before that. Now, we're going to have something that we're going to try to do, but the amount of time we commit to working on that is so marginal. I think it would be so interesting to know, like, if you just said, hey, let's pick a random conference. Let's go to the Big 12. How many times did somebody in the Big 12 last year have to take the ball out in that scenario? I can tell you at Youngstown State, I think maybe once, maybe one time the entire year in 34 games. And so, like, we're talking about something that's going to happen 0.2% of the time. You're going to need to be prepared for that moment. But to me, the best thing to do is I know we're going to have the ball about 75 times in the half court. I know that we're going to have 15 or 20 options to run in transition. Those things to me are the more important things for us to practice. And so a lot of times our ATO or our out of bounds, our sideline out of bounds plays are small in number, simple in what we do, and then we'll see if we can get the action to score. And if not, based on the catch location, let's think about an out of bounds underplay. So many times the normal catch location is free throw line extended on the ball side. So you're taking it out on the right side of the basket, you're going to end up with a catch in the right corner, the right wing. We may run something to see if we can score, and the secondary place to throw it in is there. And if we don't get anything out of that, we throw it in there, we're going to go right into Denver. We'll be right lined up in it or whatever the play is. I'm trying to use Denver consistently here today. But whatever that play is, we might say, okay, we're going to catch it. We're going to be in alignment. And just like this looks just like fifth side dive. Okay, well, we're just going to go right to fifth side dive. So we ran out of bounds play under one. We didn't score on it. Ball comes in here. Boom. We're right to whatever that is. And there's so many things in our system that we can just say, hey, we're going to run OBU one to fifth side dive or thumbs up or whatever it might be.
Mhm. Coach, my last follow up here. If we if we sort of change the question but keep the options, foul situation, attacking weak defenders, using good D against them, and we just change the question to more of getting your best player shots down the stretch
Mm.
rather than ATOs. Has anything changed for you going from, Division two, Division one, with players being a little different, bigger, what anything changed with just getting your best players quality shots down the stretch when defenses are hyper focused on playing well down the stretch, obviously.
Yeah, I think that's a great question. I think at this point, I would say not a lot of change there. I think that obviously, guys are bigger, faster, stronger at the Division One level than the Division Two, and I'm sure the higher you move up, obviously, we played at Syracuse this past year here at Youngstown. We played at Ohio State. You can see there's a definite difference in the best players at those levels. But at the end of the day, what you're trying to do is as you progress through, I think Division Three to Division Two to Division One and all the way in the NBA, is there a concept that you're trying to execute well and you want to put your best players in those as much as you can and you put them in there and you're trying to just create a little bit of confusion or hesitancy within the defense just to give you a little bit of a window on that stuff. And I think while the defense is better, maybe the caliber of player is better the higher levels you move. Well, so are the offensive players. Like the offensive player that maybe you had at D3, you don't have at D2. You have somebody that's a little bit better or a little bit more talented at the low or high Division One and all the way up into the professional ranks. That not just the defense is better, but the offense is better. And so again, you're just trying to take these concepts and see if you can create some scenarios that allow your best players to do what they do well.
For sure. All right, Pat.
All right, coach. Keeping it moving here. Our last start sub sit has to do with Pat tagging up. We know you've tagged up in the past. Also to great success, some high offensive rebounding percentage numbers. So we're going to ask you about tagging up, and we're going to give you 3 habits. And your start would be which one was the hardest to getting your players to do when tagging up. So the hardest tagging up habit to teach. Option 1 is pressing the inbounder after a made basket. So you make a basket, you tag, keeping whoever inbounds it, keeping them to
Mm-hmm.
press the inbounder. Option 2 is not getting beat off the first dribble. So you tag up, your guy gets the rebound, and just not allowing him, you tag up, but then he rips you, and off of one dribble, they're in transition.
Mm-hmm.
And then option 3 is teaching your guys to have patience in solving cross matchups or mismatches. Often you'll
Yeah.
see, guards on a big and he's immediately going to try to run off the big, but teaching them the habit to stay with the matchup and solving it at a better point in time.
Yeah, I would say I think I'm going to go with the most difficult thing, which I guess would be the start, would
Yeah.
probably be the matchups.
Mm-hmm.
The second thing would probably be pressing the inbounder, and then which would be the sub, and then I guess the sit would be not getting beat off the bounce.
Mm-hmm. All right, great, coach. Coach, let's start with the
Yeah.
start again. How are you explaining it? What are you talking with your guys to teach them to have the patience to understand when is the proper time for them to solve a mismatch and when is not the proper time?
Yeah. So I think that what probably you see the most is when you have a guard, maybe your two guards matched on the center and he's going down in transition, and it's
Yeah.
like, oh my goodness, I don't want to have to guard this big in here, or that's, whatever, not the best matchup. Well, I haven't seen a lot of post feeds from 84 feet. That's kind of how I always tell them. So, like, you've got some time. You also have the trust component, which is so important. Again, if you go back to just the culture building of what we're doing, is that you're trusting that the people on the front end are going to give you time and allow situations to take place where we can fix the cross match. And so I think if the ball is guarded when it comes in, what happens is you don't have to pressure the ball. We don't talk about, hey, you got to get up there and really turn this guy 3 times before he gets to half court. You're not trying to speed dribble the situation. You're trying to control the situation. So by maybe you're given a little bit of gap, you understand who am I guarding and what's my speed and ability like relative to who I'm guarding. And so now my job is to keep the ball in front of me and not let them just have direct line passes to be able to throw the ball wherever they want, right? So you're taking a little vision away. You're trying to escort them up the court, as essentially what's happening. You doing that well by being up, making them move back. We have 4 rules that we try to use to help them have simple but great clarity in how we're going to use the tagging up system. But you doing that so allows, if you guard the ball well, the other 3 people that are running in transition offense are being um, escorted again by somebody defensively for us. And as those 3 people get back there, they'll start switching and figuring out. But you shouldn't be doing that immediately in the front court. Go back with your man. There'll be 2 or 3 people back there. You'll be able to get it fixed. And then I think every team works on, like, sometimes depending on how you're playing ball screens or what may happen in the flow of a possession, you may as a 2 guard get switched onto a big. Okay, well, what do we do when guards get on bigs? Maybe we front the post and count on help over the back. Well, you would just do the same thing in that situation as we go back until we can, fix it or scram you out of the post or whatever it is we're going to do.
Coach, you mentioned you had 4 rules to create clarity
Yeah.
with your tagging up system. What are the 4 rules?
So the 4 rules that we try to use to keep this super simple is you want to get to the touch. That's the first thing. When the shot goes up, get to the touch. That means you're going to go literally physically touch the person, whether that doesn't mean you're putting your hand on the shoulder, but like it might be aggressive, it might be a push a little bit. You're going to be physical in that, trying to drive them toward the basket as much as you can, but you're getting to the touch because that helps us to know who you're guarding and who everyone else is guarding, right? So we're going to get to the touch first. The second thing we're going to do is get to the top. We're going to get to the top side of it. We don't want to go crashing. If I'm going in from the wing, you're blocking me out. Ball was shot from the opposite wing. I don't want to go under, because if the ball goes out toward the center and you get it, we've initiated the fast break. And for us, this is a transition defense concept first and then an offensive rebounding concept. So we're going to get to the touch first. We're going to get to the top second. Then 3 and 4, we have the word no. So there is no reckless crashing, right? So no reckless is a reckless crash would be, hey, you don't really block out and I just go running by you. Guys love to do that and see if we can get the tip dunk that you get twice a year, right? Well, the other 14 times the ball went over your head and you ignited their fast break again. So we don't want to be reckless. And then no advance passes. So again, we don't take this and say, let's try to press. Let's try to really get up and turn them over and make it hard to get the ball in bounds. I just need you to be up there right with your person. I don't care if the offensive player posts you up. I don't care if he cuts back to the baseline. You just want them to move back toward the baseline on the catch. If they do that, you did your job. You don't even have to go whip them. The ball goes to the net. You're out at the wing blocking me out. I'm on the top of you. We're free throw line extended. I don't ever even have to move to the baseline. I just need to have that gotten to the touch with you on the top side. I didn't go reckless, and now I'm just going to make you move back to catch the ball toward the baseline. That's helping to slow down their transition. And it's crazy. Like, one of the frustrating things when you think about the tagging up system, I love it. I think it's been amazing. One of the frustrating things is when you flip it offensively. If they tag up well, you just never get the practice transition. If you don't do a drill to create advantages, there's just not very many opportunities for that. And so it's been super effective for us, I think, saying, hey, let's get to the touch, let's get to the top. Let's make sure that we don't have any reckless crashes and we don't allow advances is a pretty short, clear way to give them 4 rules to make sure we know exactly what it is we're trying to do.
Coach, can I, – Dan, can I ask? Coach, you
Go
mentioned
ahead.
something really interesting. When if you are a good tagging up team and in practice you want to go work on your offensive transition and you want to work and maybe playing in advantages, how do
Mhm.
you think about drill design or creating an advantage that doesn't just like fly in the face of like tagging up, or we're just not going to tag up here now, and
Yeah.
like, constantly reinforce the tagging habit while also trying to help your offense attack and advantages and numbers
Yeah,
and play
great,
fast?
great question. Great question. So we will never alter the rules in 5-on-5 play. We're not going to say, okay, we're playing 5-on-5. We're no longer tagging up so we can try to get some transition breaks. We'll never do that. We're going to honor the tagging system and try to train you to consistently do that. It's super important to us. So we're going to go back and do, I think people call it progression drills and things like that, where you're playing 2-on-1 to 3-on-2 to 4-on-3 to 5-on-4. I also think that a lot of the advantages that you're trying to play in, those 2-on-1s and 3-on-2s and 4-on-3s and 5-on-4s, those are in transition. You're playing fast, but they're the exact same in a lot of ways when you think about playing in the half court. Like you close out bad on me and I drive past you. Well, we're essentially in 5-on-4 transition. It's just that we didn't run from all the way down there to do it. It's still 5-on-4. You're still going to have somebody help. You're going to have two on the ball, and you're going to have to make your decisions. So I think that the advantages when you're working on them don't just have to come out of transition, but you're applying the same rules and the same concepts and how we're going to cut and how we're going to try to find an open space and what we're going to do in those situations, whether you're working on it in the full or you're working on it in the half.
Coach, and Pat, you took exactly what I was going to ask on that, because we had that problem.
Yeah,
Like,
as do we. Yeah.
yeah. So, um, Coach, my question is going back to point number three with the no reckless crashers. And sometimes uh, I've heard the argument from coaches who are tagging up, but they want some flexibility in the tagging up system. And they say, hey, I've got a 3 or a 4 man that's just a monster on the glass, and I want to let him or her be more free and maybe
Mhm.
go low side and maybe not have to do all the rules. I guess what is your thought on that? Whether there is some flexibility with really great natural offensive rebounders, or is it got to be in the system still?
Yeah, I think from a holistic standpoint, you're going to talk about you're staying within the structure of what we're doing because then I think it just trickles to all other areas of play. Well, I really like to do this, or I really think I'm good at this, so I'd rather abort our concepts here and go to this. So it's really about what's best for us holistically, number one. But I think, there's times that I might grab, hey, Dan, you're really good at this crashing. I think you have great instincts for the ball. Like, I'm going to trust you like that. You cannot do that the majority of the time. That's not going to be acceptable. But man, you're in there and you're just playing instinctual. You're like, man, I can go get this. Just go get it. Just go get it. And then we'll deal with it as we need to. But as you start making those decisions, you're going to prove to me whether you actually have wisdom in making those decisions or not. You keep saying, hey, I thought I could get it, so I went. And you not only don't get it, but we're trading off on the back end negatives. Okay, well, like it's you're just proving that you're not doing that as well as you maybe think you are or you want to do that. And so we're going to have to pull that back a little bit. Hey, they're going to go in there sometimes and get some and stick backs. Like, man, those are huge plays. Those are huge plays. And so we may say in film, hey, like, you didn't do this one very well, but that's why the goal is like we're trying to get to 80%. That's our goal. Can we get every person? I'll go back after the games and I'll chart every single possession for every single guy on the floor. You had 17 chances and you got, whatever it was, 17. That's 100% amazing, right? You had 10 chances, you got two. That's 20%. That's not going to work. And it doesn't matter if that's because you went reckless 8 times or because you just stood there at the 3-point line. It's crazy to me how many times I think point guards have been trained that, hey, we're going to send 3 or 4 to the glass. The point guard's going to just get back on defense. And like, it's critical, man, for your point guard to get up there and really slow the breakdown. Why? Because if that's who you're matched on, that's who they're going to try to throw the ball in. If you don't get up there, they just take it and jet it right up. Now those cross matchups really get exposed, or their transition opportunities become available where you just getting up there eliminates that. And so I think it is a fight. I think there's always flex where you're trying to do that. And some things, you're willing to flex more. Other areas, you're a little bit more stringent. And so I think you manage those as you go.
For sure, Coach. Sorry, just quick. The charting, is it a number system? Is it like what's in the chart? Is it just if they go correctly? Is it in,
Did you do all 4 of them as you were asked? So if the ball was shot from the 3 and you didn't get to the touch, You didn't do it effectively. Did you move toward it? Yes. Did you, maybe you did the old little jog, there's an aggression level behind that. Like,
Yeah.
uh, you got to go, right? Did you get to man, you really went after it. You got to the touch, but you tried to go to the bottom side and get it. You did not do what we asked you to do. You did not follow the program, so to speak. And so you're getting your tally mark. You failed in that area. Hey, you really went hard. You got to the touch. You went to the top, but you kept trucking past them reckless. That's a tally. You didn't do that right. You got to do those things well. And so probably the one that maybe gets a little bit of gray area. If you do all three of those things well, and maybe you're not up there to make the guy move back to the baseline to catch the ball, but he just stands there. As long as he doesn't catch it on the run, it's like, okay, there's some gray area. I can live with that one a little bit more. But if the guy catches the ball on an outlet on the run, it doesn't matter that you did the other three things well and you forgot and started running back. You didn't do what we asked you to do. So we got to be able to put all those things together.
Awesome. Coach, last question. Are all shots tagged the same? So 3-point shot above the break versus a 15-foot jump shot, which I know you don't want to take a lot of those, versus a guy's going to a post up jump hook. Like, are they all tagged the same? Are we all going on the rise of the hook shot or the jump shot, or is it more of just a 3-point tagging system?
Yeah, great question. It's definitely, we try to think about it more from the farther the shot is, so to speak. So you're thinking about threes, those, and we have to do it. Like, we've got to get that done. Hopefully to heavens, we're not shooting a bunch of, dribble
Yeah.
pull-ups. We have to worry about that, or we won't have to think about that much, because we're just gonna take that guy out and let him sit for a while till he can figure out the shots we want to shoot. I think what you don't want to do is create, like, we've got to go, tag up so much that, maybe I drive the ball, you're standing wide open in the corner, and you start anticipating I'm going to shoot the layup, you run in, and we miss a three opportunity that's great, right? So I think on layups and things of that nature, the thought process is once the ball's released, can you start? You're not getting, if I shoot a layup, you're not getting from the three all the way into the paint to, get to the touch with a guy that was in help. You're in the opposite corner. And so you're not covering 20 feet in a half of a second on that. So to me, it's more about, are you moving in the direction? Does it look like that? Or are you standing there and the ball gets rebounded and you're like, oh, shoot, I got to go. Like, those are bad. But to me, if you're just moving in the direction, or maybe even if you're in the corner and your guy was the, fire guy or help guy or the MIG, whatever you choose to call him, and he goes, you're not going to get to the touch, and you might not want to run a direct line to him, but maybe you're moving toward the elbow and then you can move back to him once you've gotten ahead of the play. It's almost like, in football, the running back's running. You don't run right where he's at. You got to think about where you can come to a meeting point. You run where he is. When you get there, he'll be up the field. And so it's the same concept there a little bit on those layups and close shots like that.
Awesome.
Coach, my last question, has tagging up changed change how you think, or lends itself any better to teams that are going to try to get to a drag screen? So if you tag up successfully, whether you can be more aggressive in drag screens or hopefully go more unders in drag screens. I guess, has there been any considerations or thoughts in terms of, if we can tag successfully, how we defend drag screens?
Yeah, I think the thought process on that is, if everybody tagged perfectly, and let's say that the big that's going to drag screen took the ball out or defensive rebounded it. So as we're running back, whatever coverage we want to get to, whether that's a switch, whether that's an ice, whatever it is, we can get to that coverage. I think if you just turn around and run back, and here they come up the floor jogging it, or three-quarter or whatever, and you sprinted back, it looks amazing. Like, oh my God, look at their team sprinting back. And you run all the way to the rim, and it's like, oh, we're switching ball screens or whatever, that, we're going to hard hedge a ball screen. Well, the guys coming down in the drag, you're standing with your head in the rim. Like, that's going to be a tough coverage. Like, you're not getting there. And so to me, it's going to put you in a situation where you can be in place for whatever coverage it is we want to try to play against, the drag, the double drag, whatever it is.